We're halfway home on this beautiful day. I think some rain is supposed to be coming our way towards the end of this week.
Did you enjoy Maction last night?
You know what? What?
I thought you were about to say that you forgot that Maction was on.
Landrum.
You're the king of Maction. You used to be anyways.
Landrum, you silly man. No, I did not forget about Maction. I didn't play anything. But you know what? I want to apologize to you personally because I gave you some erroneous information yesterday for Prize Picks.
Yeah.
He went off last night.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did, Pat. His longest run was 22 yards.
153 yards last night against UMass.
Isn't it crazy that the more or less on his longest run was 19 and a half or 20 yards, and he has 22 is his longest run.
Yeah, but the more or less was on the
was it
97
yards for the
97
game. And a half.
Yeah, for the game.
For the game.
He had 153.
Yeah. Great job.
Oops.
Great scout there, coach.
Sorry. The game film on UMass did not get to my inbox quick enough where I could review some injuries.
You better be dialed in on Toledo.
I like O'Candle. He's a good coach.
Candle.
Mm-hmm.
Golly. He should have taken those other 8 jobs when he had the chance.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. We've been spending a good bit of time this morning talking about the college football playoff, the rankings that came out last night. Alabama currently sits at number 4. They have wins against number 5, number 16, number 22, number 25 in the latest college football playoff rankings. The most impressive road win of anybody in the rankings. They beat number 5, Georgia, of course, over in Athens. So if the games were played this weekend, Landrum, the University of Memphis would be between the hedges taking on the Georgia Bullpups, and the winner of that game would play the Alabama Crimson Tide in the quarterfinals at one of the bowl sites. That's if the games were played today. Other SEC games of note, Ole Miss would be hosting Virginia, and the winner of that game would get Texas A&M in the quarterfinals. Texas A&M comes in ranked number 3 in the college football playoff rankings. Nothing new to report on the Auburn coaching front. Landrum updated us on some Vegas odds, and right now, John Sumrall is number 1, according to Las Vegas, to be the next head football coach of the Auburn Tigers. Phone lines are open at 1-800-239-WJOX. The Courtesy GMC text line is open as always at 205-834-9450. And speaking of Courtesy GMC, I've been telling you about the kickoff sales event, and they're halfway home in that sales event at Courtesy GMC in Trussville. And right now you can get up to $15,000 off remaining 2025 Sierra 1500s and 2500s with the absolute lowest prices you're going to find not only in Alabama, but around the Southeast. The all-new 2026 Sierras, they're rolling in daily at their 9-acre inventory lot. And for a limited time, those 2026 Sierras, they're marked down to 2025 model year pricing. And remember, every GMC there at Courtesy GMC in Trussville, they come with their exclusive 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. The website's courtesybirmingham.com. Go by and see Josh Gargis, Drew Lawley, all the great people there at Courtesy GMC off of I-459. Exit 32 in Trussville.
800-239-WJOX. AJ is in Florida. Hey, AJ, welcome in.
Hey, guys. I wanted to talk about a little bit this, coaching vacancies and stuff like that. And I just wanted to say, you guys know how smart I am. This is how smart I am. I'm on record 3 or 4 years ago when Auburn's last head coaching vacancy happened. I said, because I'm an Alabama fan, I wanted them to not make a good hire. So as an Alabama fan, I thought anybody but Hugh Freeze. I don't want to see Hugh Freeze on that sideline because I thought he would do so well at Auburn. And as I was hearing this stuff, I was thinking, Lane Kiffin didn't scare me. I don't remember who the other names were back then, but it was those two. And I kept thinking we would handle I thought Saban would handle Kiffin because he always had. But Freeze always gave us such problems. So I was thinking anybody but that. So that's how smart I am. Obviously got that 100% wrong. But, Pat, you were talking about Dabo. You're making the suggestion that Florida might hire Dabo. Do you think the stock, and I'm a Dabo fan, but do you think the stock of Dabo is anything good enough to where Florida would want It seems to me like his stock's kind of damaged right now.
You know,
You think that's even possible?
that's a very good question, and it's a legitimate question. And I think if you probably did a poll in the Gainesville, Ocala area, they might tell you no, heck no. I mean, listen, think about the outcry that Alabama fans had when Nick Saban stepped down. I mean, it was like immediate. I mean, folks were like, no to Dabo. I mean, it was like we're not even going there whatsoever. And who knows, maybe the Florida people would feel the same way if that was floated out. I just think I think Dabo Swinney is a good football coach. I don't think he forgot how to be a good football coach. I think he's just had a problem in this new era of NIL and transfer portal of trying to find his way. And if he's looking to get out of Clemson, I just thought that Florida and Gainesville would be a place that would potentially welcome him, but maybe not.
Yeah, and I was one of the Bama people that thought the Bama fans that didn't want Dabo were nuts. But he definitely loses some press conferences lately. That's for sure. And but anyway, that's all I got, guys. One last thing before I go. I don't want Georgia again. I know you guys are talking about the rankings and who we might play. I know we've had their number. I think they're due. I don't think we get them again. And I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you for the call.
Appreciate the phone call. Another thing to think about with Dabo is he's going to have a plan. If he sits down with Scott Strickland, what is your plan for the collective for NIL? How are you going to manage the transfer portal? What is that going to look like? Are you going to embrace it? But even as bad as maybe his, I don't know what you want, perception, image as a college football coach has. And they haven't had the level of success that they were able to have with 2 national titles and making a couple of other appearances. But I think you appreciate the body of work, what Dabo's done. First of all, what he stands for as far as personality type. You could do a lot worse than Dabo Swinney. Roll out Jed Fish or give the option of a Jed Fish versus a Dabo to the Florida fans.
Or James Franklin or Dabo Swinney.
I go Dabo.
Or Eli Drinkwitz or Dabo. I think Eli Drinkwitz will be coaching somewhere else next year.
Yeah, I do too.
I do not think he'll be in Columbia, Missouri.
Again, how has Dabo answered those questions about the transfer portal before we get into this guy or this guy?
And listen, and Landrum brought it up last hour. The buyout for Dabo Swinney is $60 million. Now, if Dabo wants to go somewhere else, and Clemson's done with him. Not saying they are, but let's just say the administration or somebody there is like, you know what? Let's just all come to a happy agreement, and you can go coach in Florida or somewhere else, and we'll figure all this out money wise. But we want a divorce. You want a divorce. Let's move on. But all indications are that he's going to do some things this offseason, and he'll be back to the same old Dabo next year. Back to your phone calls. Let's go to Chuck. Hey, Chuck.
Hey, guys. How you enjoying the show? I just wanted to call in. I agree with the Bama hater, the Miami fan. I've been a Miami fan since the early 70s when I was in kindergarten. We lived down there, used to go to the Friday night games. So, yes, they don't even belong at 18. They somewhere between 20 and 23 is probably right. The only way they get in, they got to run the table. That's not going to be easy for them. They've still got to go to Pittsburgh. But not only got to run the table, they got to hope that these other, 4 or 5 teams ahead of them, everything would play out right, that somehow they end up in a tiebreaker and even get in the ACC game. So their chance of making the playoffs right now is probably no better than, 12 or 15%. And that's coming from a Miami fan. I'll pull for them, but if they need to be 22, they should have been 4 or 5 spots lower.
Yeah, I think right now, statistically speaking, I just saw this, and I'll pass it along since you just brought it up. Miami has a 14% chance of making the college football playoff.
Well, that's funny because I hadn't seen that or looked it up, but I knew it was below 20% because there's just too much. They got to do every single thing right and hope that the slate of games of, the 4 or 5 teams ahead of them, and it would probably end up where there's 3 teams, with 2 losses and 1 with 1 loss, and they'd have to be the one of the 3 that won the tiebreaker. And, who knows how that's just too much between here and there. Just quickly on the Auburn front, and I know this isn't going to happen, but for entertainment purposes, if they could hire motorcycle Bobby Petrino. I will fall out of my car or chair. I will barrel roll laugh for probably 17 minutes trying to catch my breath. It's only a 7-hour ride. They don't have to fly him down here for his initial coaches conference when he's coming in. Let him ride the motorcycle. He can show up with the Twin Peaks chick or a Hooters chick or maybe just someone he finds at a truck stop, roll into town on his bike. And again, I know it's not going to happen, but, we can dream.
I think there's a better chance of Dabo Sweeney showing up at Auburn than one Bobby Petrino.
No doubt.
Now, Bobby wanted the job, obviously.
Bobby's wanted it since he left Auburn.
Yeah, but
I think
never
Bobby would
out.
take any job in the SEC or, for that matter, probably any Big Four thing. But he's probably going to have to go be, coordinator somewhere. Or maybe he could go manage the Twin Peaks. I don't know.
Thank you for the call.
Yeah, thanks. We appreciate it, Chuck.
Thank you.
Do any of these guys need to do anything? No. I don't know where Bobby is financially. Probably took a hit there.
Yeah. But he
last portion of his
he
career,
rebounded.
But as long as he spent responsibly,
yeah, I mean,
didn't buy too many motorcycles, he's fine.
I think Texas A&M paid him well. So I went back and I looked, and I brought this up on Monday. The 2022 Vegas odds for the Auburn head coach. Freeze was hands down. He was 2-1.
Okay.
Coming at number 2 was Kiffin, 11-4 odds. Deion Sanders was 7-1.
Wow. Deion was 7-1.
7-1. He was you remember we got a lot of calls on this show.
Oh, we did.
There was a lot of people.
Oh, Deion was. Oh, he was great for every job.
Yes.
Whether Deion wanted it or not, Deion needed to be there.
You had 2 coaches that came in with the 4th best odds. Jeff Grimes.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Mike Leach.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 5th best odds, you had 4 coaches with 12-1 odds. Kevin Steele, Mark Stoops, Matt Rule, Mike Gundy. All at 12-1. Matt Campbell was 14-1, and wrapping it up at 25-1 was Urban Meyer.
This initial list this time around, number 1 seems a lot more realistic, but
Than
also
this one?
number 2, it seems a little more appealing than some of those names. Because some of those names you just mentioned, it was like, what? Like you can't even connect the dots. Like with some of these, and I know what they do with these hot board coaching searches on the websites. You're trying to fill up a page, and you're trying to get down to candidates 6, 7, and 8, and then at that point, it's if they called that guy, he coached at Auburn for a season. He'd probably listen. All right, put his name on there. Some of these guys, they never get contacted.
Well, we all know how this works. If you can get a hint that your name is potentially involved somewhere, the agent is going to parlay that into a new deal. That's what happened with Mike Norvell at Florida State. That's what happened to Steve Sarkisian at Texas. Just the thought of being on a football rumor mill website of saying that those guys potentially was going to be in the mix at Alabama got them new gigs. It's worked out okay for Texas, not so much for Florida State, but my goodness gracious, they racked up some huge, huge dollars in regards to what happened moving forward just because their name was mentioned for Alabama. 1-800-239-WJOX. When we come back, we will continue with your phone calls. At the bottom of the hour, we'll talk to Trey Wallace from Outkick. This is 3-Man Front on Jocks. It's 12:17 here on Jocks. Hope everybody's having a great Wednesday. Thanks for tuning us in. Download the Jocks 94.5 app. Take us no matter where you go during this wonderful holiday season. We will be here each and every day. You can also watch us on YouTube. Appreciate everyone tuning us in. Hey, hit that like, subscribe button at the bottom of the YouTube, okay? Subscribe to the Jocks 94.5 YouTube. We'd appreciate that very much. APS, Alabama Professional Services, been around since 1977, 205-951-9717. That is the number. The website, easy to remember, alabamaprofessional.com. Whether it's basement waterproofing, foundation repair, concrete leveling, concrete repair, they can do it all for you. And you just simply call them at 205-951-9717. Their professional waterproofers can easily identify the cause of a wet basement, those musty odors or mold problems, and they can provide you with a high-quality waterproofing solution that will eliminate your problems. They offer free estimates all over the great state of Alabama, so give them a call today at 205-951-9717. That is alabamaprofessional.com. So Kirk Herbstreit was doing a podcast, and in this podcast with Ryan Russillo, they were talking about SEC bias. You know, ESPN gets accused all the time of, because they're in business with both the ACC and the SEC, that everybody that's on ESPN, they have a bias towards the SEC. We'll take a listen to Kirk Herbstreit getting pretty tired of hearing people talking about that.
Let me ask you this. The coaches do a poll. The AP does a poll. The CFP rankings do a poll. They all must be guilty of SEC bias. The coaches as well, because the coaches
Yes.
So basically, if you're objective, I went to Ohio State. I was a captain at Ohio State. You don't think I want to promote the Big Ten? You think it makes me happy to sit there and promote good teams? I would love the SEC to have 3 teams in the top 25 and the Big Ten to have 8. That would make me happy. But you go by what you watch. And the coaches who are actually competing on the field, they're putting the SEC. So in the NFL in April, when they draft these players, the SEC, it's why is this a thing? Like why do people think it's a thing? It's such bullshit. No, it's called watching football. That's what you do.
But we do it every year. Every year. Have to make the argument. I thought he did a little bit too much of the overselling of his Big Ten bias.
Yeah, I mean, do we really need to hear the guy that's
Because I don't think that's good for all of college football, Kirk, to have 3 SEC teams in the top 25.
No, and also the guy that does 90% of SEC games now, basically him saying, well, I'm rooting for 8 Big Ten teams to be in the top 25. I'd be happy if there were only 3 SEC teams in the top 25.
You see, it's like you have to go back to your SEC, make the argument binder. Okay, I'm sorry. What did you bring up? Oh, yeah, let me go back here to this section. All right, here's all the draft analytics from last year and however many past drafts we've had, showing that the SEC has the better players. Where would you like to go from here? It's not that hard if you're watching. But here's the problem. You get people who aren't watching college football that look at box scores, and then they say, well, wait a minute. This isn't right. This isn't fair. What about this team? This team's 8-0. Why are they behind a team that's 6-2? Well, have you watched that team play? No, but they're 8-0. It'll all work out, hopefully.
Yeah.
It doesn't always.
Yeah, but he was getting fired up.
He was getting fired up.
Good for
Even
him.
got an expletive. Glad we caught it.
Molly caught it.
Yeah. Good job, Molly.
Molly got it taken care of.
She's the cuss catcher. Not so fast.
She has that monetary cuss jar in y'all's office.
It
fills up because
It's quite full.
Yeah, because Conrad's a potty mouth.
He's really not. We don't have any potty mouths in our office. What if you had a cuss jar in yours for the people that come in there?
A lot of times people come in my office.
You'd retire early.
Yeah, a lot of people come in my office and like to vent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do.
It's kind of the safe space, right? Come to Pat's office and kind of rail on people like Don Don.
Sometimes.
I'm just kidding, Don Don. We don't talk about you.
No, we love you. A lot of texts on the text line, 205-834-9450. A lot of conversation about the college football playoffs, but also coaching searches and other whatnot. This one reads, Lansman, please let me know why Texas is number 11, and do you think that the committee made their decisions based on the last games played? Pat Nelly, I think the last games played certainly went into it. Oklahoma and Vandy wins. Those would be impressive. I think more than anything, though, that close loss to Ohio State on the road to open the season is helping them immensely.
It is, especially the way Texas has bounced back over the course of the last month.
And also perception heading into the season. They wouldn't admit it, but it's still Texas. Brand matters.
Mm-hmm.
Is Coach Bill Clark interested in getting back into coaching? He'd be at the top of my list if I was an athletic director. Right opportunity, I think he would.
Yep.
Now that Kiffin is pretty much not leaving Ole Miss, who are the top candidates to replace Billy Napier? Well, you'll have to let some Florida people know that Lane's not leaving Ole Miss because he's still number one, according to some. I don't really know, Pat, where they're going with this one. I kind of saw this coming. I think Eli Drinkwitz at this point, based on names of guys that you think would be interested or guys that are out there that have been put in there. Now, there could be a totally different candidate we're not talking about, but Eli Drinkwitz seems like maybe one of the best that you have at your that you could go and get. I think Eli, he would leave for Florida.
So what if Florida would become as motivated as Mal Moore was when Mal Moore would not take no for an answer?
Just go sit outside of Kiffin's house?
I'm not saying go to that extreme like Mal Moore did in Miami. Of course, Miami's a little bit of a bigger town than Oxford, Mississippi. You're going to be noticed in Oxford if you hang out at somebody's house for a while. But I'm just saying, what if Scott Strickland is like, you know what? I've been given the money. I've been told
I can't come back until you say yes.
Like I mean, even if you go up to just something past $15 million a year. Just something of just like, we got to have you. This is what we're willing to do. We'll pay you $15 million a year. And on top of that, we're going to give you a salary pool of X for your assistants. And by the way, our NIL each year is going to be this. Just something, just make everybody just go, there's no way possible. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
If they're that motivated, not saying Lane would say, okay, but makes them think, because I'm telling you, it did not look good for Nick Saban to come to Alabama. But Mal Moore, to his credit, he would not take no, and he just kept on and on and on. And Terry and Nick Saban believed in Mal Moore and what he was selling, and the rest is history.
Or you have your agent throw out a crazy number like $15 million per year and see if somebody bites.
I have been in situations, not myself personally, but people that I know that have been in contract negotiations, and they have done that, where they say, okay, if you want me to do this, then you're going to have to go here, thinking there's no way that they're going to go there.
Same.
And then guess what happens? They went there,
right.
And then all of a sudden you're like, well, wow, I be dang. I guess I'm going to have to do it now. And that's what they did.
Did I mention the private jet and the unlimited?
But see, my point is what if Strickland has been given that latitude? You know, what if they just said, just get it done? I don't care what you have to do, get it done. I don't know if it's there for that, but and if it's not Lane Kiffin, is it Marcus Freeman?
That you go and you make that offer to? Maybe so, but based on Marcus Freeman early on said, tell him I'm not interested. It's not something I want to entertain. But Lane, he can always screw it up. But Lane looks like he's going to be in the college football playoff. So you're going to have, I would think, Lane's tough if you're going to sit there, and I'm not saying that Scott Strickland's doing this, but if you're camping out and you're waiting for Lane to make a decision and Lane ends up in either in the SEC championship or the college football playoff, it's a long time to be waiting without having some kind of agreement in principle or gentleman's agreement.
What if Scott Strickland wants to talk to DJ Durkin?
Yeah.
DJ was a defensive coordinator at Florida. Matter of fact, I think he was an interim head coach at Florida. Was he not? I think that's right. I think he actually won a game as the interim head coach at the University of Florida. I could be wrong. I'm double checking. Yes, he was. 2014. And guess what? Guess what game he won? The irony. The Birmingham Bowl.
Hey.
How about that? So he's 1-0 as a head coach at the University of Florida. Just saying.
That's one win more than we have.
Barely.
The University of Florida.
All right, coming up next, Trey Wallace. We'll ask him about this coaching carousel. Ask him about the college football playoff, what he thinks they got right, what they got wrong last night. That's next on Three Man Front. It's 12:33. Welcome back. Each and every Wednesday at this time, we get an opportunity to catch up with Outkick's Trey Wallace. He joins us now on the Higginbotham Hotline. Trey, I know you said it a couple weeks ago. We've been talking about it incessantly about Hugh Freeze. It was just a matter of when it was going to happen, and it did officially happen on Sunday. Just curious, where do you put this Auburn job, maybe just not only in the pecking order in the Southeastern Conference, but nationally speaking?
By the way, this is 5 straight weeks now of joining you guys after a coaching firing. So just wanted to throw that out there.
You're like
frankly,
like the Grim Reaper.
Look, I'm sorry. I'm telling you guys, it's coming. No, it's look, the Auburn situation. I think, and please don't hold this against me and blow up my social media mentions, folks. But you're third in the conference right now. I think you're behind LSU and you're behind Florida. I think overall, in the grand scheme of things, I could make an argument that probably 4th or 5th around the country. And that's just based off what has happened over the last 10 years. I think that even the last couple of coaching cycles, you got to get some stability going back there at Auburn, man. And I think that John Cohen is obviously, in my opinion, the guy that can do that. But at the moment, I just look at everything that has transpired, whether that is from Brian Harsin, whether that is, with the interim in Cadillac, whether that is now the Hugh Freeze situation. And you're just staring down a spot where you got to get this next one right. And you don't have to be like Florida and LSU. You don't have to be like Penn State. Go take a chance. You can think outside the box here. It's not Kenny Dillingham or John Summerall, who, by the way, I think John Summerall will be a fantastic fit at Auburn. But I just think, first off, you have got to find somebody that that can come in there, be an X's and O's guys, be the CEO of the Auburn football program, and delegate this stuff, man. I think that was one of the things that killed Hugh Freeze, down at Auburn. And I look back on the whole situation, and sure, there were red flags everywhere, and that's fine. But you could say that a lot about the situations across the country. But with this one, it's just time to bring that stability back and become I want to say powerhouse. I really do, because Auburn's shown in the past that they can be, but we are living in a different world right now in college athletics, and I'm curious to see where Auburn goes next.
How do you think, Trey, that athletic directors like John Cohen view it now, this day and age, and the climate that is the transfer portal and revenue sharing with their coaches? Because I think ideally athletic directors used to look and they would say, hey, this is our 10-year, our 12-year coach, hopefully, if it works out. Do you think that maybe that time span and how they view these coaching hires, now they think about it a little bit differently?
I think it's turned into an enterprise rental car situation.
Yeah.
Where, it's can this work for 4 to 5 years? Okay, if it works, I'm going to go buy the car. That type of situation.
Yeah.
Because you can look, you can go out and you can hire Lane Kiffin at LSU or Florida, and you can potentially hire James Franklin at Virginia Tech, though I think he might be an interesting spot in Auburn. And I could go on and on with coaches here. But yeah, there's your hint for the day. I think that right now, these athletic directors, they look around the country and they see what NIL is and they see what college athletics is, and they're trying to face this thing head on. But it's bringing all sorts of different circumstances. It really is. Like, I look at the situation in Colorado right now. Like, shame on Deion Sanders for not allowing his players to speak to the media following 2 consecutive bad losses amid a season that hasn't gone their way. But he wants to act like the umbrella that is protecting these guys. Like, none of that makes sense. We're in a different world, guys. These athletes are being paid, and I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying certain amounts of them are being paid 6 figures a year to play on these football teams. And you have to be able to handle certain situations that come your way. And if that means standing in front of the media and answering some questions about why the season hasn't gone the way, like, Auburn players are still out there doing it. So what I'm getting at here is that we are such in a different landscape when it comes to how players are perceived, how coaches are perceived. The rental car thing to me just kind of stands out the most about this current coaching cycle because let's be honest, we don't know if they're going to get 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and I think that athletic directors look at it the same way. So, you got to have a strong base. And when you have a strong base, you got to find yourself a leader of a football program that is the front doorstep to a university. And I think that's what a lot of these athletic directors are having a hard time grasping right now.
In our remaining minute or two, I wanted to ask you about last night's college football playoff rankings. And based on some of the things I saw that you posted last night on social media, it appears that it did not give you great heartburn in regards to the first rankings.
No. I was okay with it. The Miami thing, them being ranked 18th and Notre Dame ranked 10th, like I could see it. But you know what? Don't go lose to SMU on the road. Don't go lose to a Louisville team on a Friday night when we thought Louisville was okay. We didn't think they were that good. Let's all just be honest with each other here. I think the SEC sits in a really good spot. I think Alabama is in a really, really good spot. I could have made an argument for Texas A&M being 1 or 2, but I have no problem with Indiana. I mean, Ohio State and Indiana being 1, 2. That's going to play out, and Ole Miss is sitting pretty at 6. They're good. Ole Miss is good. I think they're in the playoffs. I think they'll take care of business. Now it lines up, guys. That Georgia-Texas game next week, oh, boy. And I'm not trying to get Georgia fans to overlook Mississippi State because if there was ever a trap game this weekend, I don't think it's Texas A&M going to Missouri. I think it's Georgia going to Mississippi State and playing at 11 o'clock in the morning. So I'm just, I'm not calling for an upset. Lord have mercy, don't come after me. But what I am saying is that, looking at the playoffs right now, it's fascinating to me, guys, that there were 3 Big 12 teams ranked ahead of the first ACC team. Ranked. And Notre Dame doesn't count, by the way. So sorry, Notre Dame. No, you're not an ACC team. And so that to me is wait a minute. There could be 2 Big 12 teams that get a playoff bid, and the ACC is sitting there with 1. That's how crazy this season has been, guys. And I think this is going to be a fascinating month for me and everybody around the sport. I think that this is, I wish that Alabama LSU game had more juice to it on Saturday night. Maybe I wouldn't be having to get on a plane and go to Lubbock, Texas, but I'm excited about Texas Tech versus BYU. It's just going to take me 3 different planes to get there.
So you're going to Baghdad? That's where you're going? You're going to Baghdad?
Yeah, going to Baghdad. Yep. So this should be fun. I'll probably get slapped in the face with the tortilla. Looking forward to that one. But
I thought that was a normal Friday night in the Wallace household. What are you talking about?
You got that. Buddy, we do it kind of different around here, man. We are from Lower Alabama, so
you go corn or flour. That's the only question.
Buddy, I gotta go flour. Corn's gonna hurt too much. So no, but it is, guys. We're here. Don't freak out, everybody, about the first rankings. But I will say to wrap that question up, it is good to see that the CFP committee is taking in the strength of schedule and actually looking at these games. I think that is important moving forward. And, the SEC could be sitting at the end of the season with possibly 5 bids to the college football playoff. And if the Big Ten doesn't play this thing right and Oregon goes to Iowa and loses this weekend, Big Ten might be a 2-bid league. And I don't think that's what Tony Petitti had in mind a couple months ago. Going
back to the Auburn coaching search hints before we let you go, what I gathered from all of that is Auburn's next head coach, his first name will begin with a J.
Oh, man. This one, okay, look, Jimmy Sexton knows how to play the game here, guys. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I think there's a reason. I'm not saying James Franklin's going to be the next Auburn coach. So please, people, don't go crazy on social media with that one either. But I am saying he's had a contract in front of him at Virginia Tech for about 4 to 5 days. And that one hadn't been signed yet. So this is all about leverage right now in college football. And that Auburn opening just gave a little bit more leverage to somebody like James Franklin. But at the same time, could there be a little bit of leverage with Kenny Dillingham and these other schools too? I mean, I know LSU took the interim tag, yesterday off their interim AD and made him permanent AD in Osbury. But then the president comes out 20 minutes ago and says, well, I just didn't want him to have the interim tag. We're going to assess the situation. So pretty much what he's saying is, we're going to have an athletic director search. I just took this tag off of him for the time being. So, everybody thought LSU was not dysfunctional for hiring a president and an AD in 2 days. Well, that just backtracked within 24 hours. So it's going to be an interesting cycle. And I think you're going to see schools like LSU and Florida try to leverage the Auburn situation. And does Kentucky open up at the end of the year with a mutual agreement for Stoops and Kentucky to go their separate ways? And then things get interesting. But if I'm Auburn, and I'll leave it at this, if I'm Auburn, there's a coach in New Orleans, Louisiana that could do the dang job and get it done at Auburn, in my opinion. That's John Summerall. Don't overthink this if you don't have to.
Is he still Governor Landry's favorite at LSU?
I think Governor Landry.
Okay.
It was politics season last week. We had some elections yesterday, and he knew exactly what he was doing.
Okay.
All right, Trey, listen, we know you got to run. Always appreciate it. Enjoy Baghdad.
I will, guys. I'll let you know how that tortilla to the face goes.
All right. Thanks, Trey.
Thanks, Trey.
Thanks, boys.
Trey Wallace always joins us. He joins us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Auburn fans, you ready for some James Franklin?
He did not say that.
No. I was just throwing out. We'll continue 3-man front here on this Wednesday.
If you missed any of our interviews, you can always download the 3-Man Front podcast. Earlier today, we had the voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide, Chris Stewart. Brian Edwards from Vegas Insider, MajorWager.com, gave us his thoughts for the weekend, gave us some really interesting picks. You just heard Trey Wallace, and coming up in just a couple minutes, Lenny Acuff, who is the first-year head coach at the Stanford University men's basketball program. They had a big announcement today, along with UAB, in which the men's basketball teams are going to play a 3-year series between the two clubs beginning next year at Bartow Arena. So it should be a lot of fun. We'll get his thoughts on that and their home opener coming up Friday night against South Carolina State.
Yeah, we got college basketball tonight. We also have college football action for Pat. You can get into the Finnick this afternoon. They've got acoustic music going late this afternoon into the early evening. Then you can check out Maction or plenty of sports there on the video screens, the large video boards that they have, just huge boards, but also wall-to-wall TVs inside the place, state-of-the-art sound, and award-winning menu, whether it's the wings, whether it's the wood-fire grilled burgers, the fork and knife, fresh Gulf seafood entrees that they have available, handcrafted cocktails, great selection of beverages. Check out the Finnick. It's 1630 2nd Avenue South all weekend long. You can watch Alabama LSU. They're going to turn the game up there with that great state-of-the-art sound. You want to check out Auburn and Vanderbilt, maybe UAB and Rice. Any other games, you're going to be able to find them there at the Finnick. Sunday, NFL Fans, Sunday Ticket, Red Zone, into Monday Night Football. Check it out there, 1630 2nd Avenue South near Railroad Park. Tell our friends at the Finnick that Landrum from Jock said hello.
So I just saw an interesting stat from Las Vegas. You hear me talking about the percentage chance of teams making the college football playoff, and that is based on ESPN analytics. That's the number that I quote a lot on this program. Well, I went back and I was looking at the Las Vegas percentage, not the odds, but the percentage that Vegas gave Alabama to make the college football playoff after they lost to Florida State. What do you guys think it was? On a scale of 1 to 100%. What do you think it was after the Florida State loss?
22%.
I was going to say 20.
It actually was 37%.
Oh, okay.
A little bit higher. I would have gone low like you guys.
Yeah.
37% chance of making the college football playoff. As of this moment, according to the Las Vegas odds makers, this is a percentage. It's not an odd. This is a percentage. Alabama currently has a 90% chance of making the college football playoff. So you go from 37% after the Florida State loss to now it's 90% based on Las Vegas. It's amazing.
That even seems high in modern times, just going back to some of the other teams. 80-something% is usually somewhere. We see 70. We see a lot of 70% with teams we feel really good about punching their ticket. But 90%, yeah. And I would say that. And based on Alabama's strengths, what they have left, they're going to play some stout defenses, but it's not like they're playing a juggernaut offense. You don't have you throw out the team that puts up stupid numbers every weekend.
Penn State had an 83% chance of making the college football playoff after week 1. It's now 0.
I would say James Franklin probably had a 98% chance of keeping his job after those lettuce wins.
Clemson had a 56% chance of making the college football playoff after week 1 when they lost to LSU.
I know it's probably different now, but do you have Texas preseason versus like 4 weeks ago and then to now? You might not. I'm just curious.
Let's see. I do not have Texas after week 1.
Speaking of some first weekend fake outs, you just mentioned that. Alabama and Florida State. Florida State, obviously not what we thought they were.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama the same. Auburn over Baylor. That thing got different.
I told you I was on a radio show in Waco, Texas yesterday afternoon, and they immediately, I for a minute, I completely forgot that Auburn opened up in Waco against Baylor, and they were like, okay, what happened? This is not the Auburn team that we saw in Waco. And I said, well, you saw an offense that was trying to get an identity of running the football, and in week 2 and week 3 after that at Jordan-Hare Stadium, Hugh Freeze tried to make Jackson Arnold into a pocket passer.
He did. All right, so LSU and Clemson would be another one.
Mm-hmm.
We thought, all right, we're going to see some stuff out of this one. Turns out that it wasn't. I'm just thinking about some other like instant takeaways we had to begin the season was like, whoo.
Was Notre Dame Miami that first weekend, or was that the second week?
I think it was. It was that first week. Yeah. Miami beating Notre Dame 27-24.
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina over Virginia Tech on that Sunday as well. And then,
Yeah, Tennessee over Syracuse in week 1.
Yeah, that was another one. It's interesting. You don't quite know what you're going to get.
Oklahoma, Michigan was week 2, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And hey, how about Indiana knocking off Old Dominion in week 1 by 13 points and thinking, all right, that was fun, Signetti, but we see how this year is going to go. And then they start beating the brakes off of everybody.
Beat the snot out of Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's interesting because, and going back to what we were just talking about after week 1, Indiana, and that was Old Dominion, right? So they played week 1. Indiana had a 14% chance of making the college football playoff after that Old Dominion game. They have not looked back since then.
No. Wow. We had a lot of pretenders this year as I'm going back through.
Yeah.
Texas Tech, return on investment. It's working out so far.
BYU had a 7% chance of making the college football playoff after week 1. And here they are, undefeated, top 10. And if you beat Texas Tech this weekend,
you just got Sataki'd.
A lot of teams have gotten Sataki'd. He's a good coach.
He's a really good coach.
Really good.
You know who beat him in a head-to-head?
We know who beat
Bill
him
Clark.
head-to-head. Bill
Greatest
Clark
bowl
did.
game ever played,
No
Shreveport.
doubt. Pouring down rain.
Yep. UAB only had 3 players.
Yep, because everybody was out because of COVID.
Yep. No headsets.
Nope. Communications were down. Matter of fact, no internet in the stadium. People didn't know the outcome of the game.